I used to think I was the luckiest man alive. 20 years of marriage, 2 kids who respected me, a wife who never asked for anything unreasonable. I built us a life where money wasn't a problem, where Linda could stay home and focus on what she loved most, our family. I was proud of that. I was proud of being enough. Every morning I leave the house at 6:30 sharp, kiss Linda on the forehead while she's still half asleep, grab my coffee from the counter where she always leaves it, black with 1 sugar. The drive to the engineering firm takes 45 minutes through suburban Connecticut traffic, but I don't mind. It gives me time to think about project deadlines, budget allocations, the normal concerns of a senior engineer who's worked his way up from drafting tables to corner offices, home by 6 most nights. Linda has dinner ready. Nothing fancy, but always hot, always waiting. Jacob talks about his senior year, college applications, his part-time job at the electronics store. Emily chatters about track practice, her AP classes, the drama of being 16. Linda asks about my day, and I tell her about concrete specifications and load calculations, watching her eyes glaze over with the familiar fondness of someone who doesn't understand but likes hearing me talk. Our house is paid off. The cars run well. We take a vacation every summer, nothing extravagant. Rental houses on the Cape, sometimes a week in Florida. I thought this was happiness, stability. The American dream achieved through 20 years of showing up, doing the work, being reliable. But lately, Linda looks different. Not dramatically. Subtle changes that took me months to notice. New. Clothes that fit better, show more. Makeup during the day when she used to save it for date nights. She joined a gym in January, said it was for her health, but her body was already fine. I told her that, but she just smiled and said she wanted to feel good about herself again. The shopping trips started in March. Every Tuesday and Thursday, sometimes Saturdays. She'd leave after breakfast, come home around dinner with maybe 1 small bag from Target or the grocery store. When I asked what took so long, she'd mention traffic, running into friends, browsing. Reasonable explanations delivered with perfect calm. Her phone sits face down at dinner now. When it buzzes, she doesn't check it immediately like she used to. Instead, she waits until she's alone, taking it to the bathroom or outside to check on the garden. I told myself I was being paranoid. 20 years earns trust, doesn't it? Last week, I was looking for gum in her purse. She always keeps the mint kind I like. Instead, I found a receipt from Nordstrom, a men's watch, $3,200. Our anniversary isn't until October. My birthday passed 2 months ago with a nice dinner and a new golf shirt. Linda, I said at dinner, keeping my voice casual, did you buy something special recently? I saw a Nordstrom receipt. She didn't miss a beat. Oh, that's for your Christmas present. I wanted to get it early before they sold out. You weren't supposed to see that, she replied with a laugh that sounded exactly right. Natural. Rehearsed natural, I realize now. Jacob and Emily exchanged a look across the table. Quick, but I caught it. The same look they used to share when they'd broken something and hadn't told us yet. That night, Linda fell asleep early, unusual for her. I lay awake thinking about that watch, about the looks, about Tuesday shopping, trips that yielded nothing. At 2 a.m., I went downstairs for water and saw the iPad on the coffee table. We share it, synced to both our accounts. My hands shook as I opened the messages. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I was looking to prove myself wrong. Michael Turner. 43 messages over 2 weeks. I scrolled to the beginning. Can't. Stop thinking about yesterday. You were incredible. The hotel at 2. Same room as last time. Tell him you're shopping. He never questions that. I love how you look in that blue dress. Wear it Tuesday. Don't feel guilty, baby. You deserve to. Be happy. 20 years collapsed into those 5 sentences. I sat in my dark living room, reading how my wife planned her deceptions, how she laughed about my trusting nature, how she called me sweet but boring to a man who was boinking her in hotel rooms while I calculated load-bearing walls and thought about retirement plans. I didn't wake her. Didn't confront anyone. Instead, I went to my home office, pulled out an old notebook from my college days, and started writing. Not emotional rambling, facts, dates, times, patterns, evidence. Tomorrow, she has another shopping trip planned. This time, I won't be at work. This time, I'll be watching, and I'll finally learn exactly how deep this betrayal goes. I called in sick the next morning, first time in 3 years. Linda brought me tea, felt my forehead, told me to rest. Her concern seemed genuine. Maybe it was, in her way. Cheaters probably don't want their stability sick. She mentioned her shopping trip, asked if I needed anything. I told her to enjoy herself. She kissed my cheek and I smelled a perfume. That wasn't the one I'd bought her for Valentine's Day. At 11:30, I followed her BMW from 3 cars back. She drove confidently, no checking mirrors, no paranoia. Why would she? I'd been perfectly oblivious for who knows how long. The Marriott downtown was her destination. Valet parking, the works. I parked across the street, watched her walk through the lobby like she owned the place. Watched Michael Turner meet her by the elevators, his hand on the small of her back, proprietary and familiar. He was everything I wasn't. Tall, athletic build, silver hair that looked expensive rather than aged. His suit cost more than I make, in a month. They kissed while waiting for the elevator, not passionate but comfortable, routine. The kiss of people who've done this many times before. I sat in my car for 2 hours. Didn't need to see more. The confirmation was enough, or so I thought. That evening, dinner felt like theater. Linda talked about traffic at the mall, a sale. At Macy's she'd missed, running into her friend Catherine. Lie after lie, delivered between bites of the pot roast I'd complimented. But what made me really pay attention were the kids. "Mom, did you get my chemistry workbook?" Emily asked. "Oh, honey, I forgot. I'll get it tomorrow," she replied. "No worries." "Hey, about those new running shoes," Emily continued. "We'll look this weekend, sweetheart," Linda answered. Emily smiled, satisfied. But I knew that smile. It was the same one she used when she'd successfully negotiated a later curfew. Transactional. Jacob was less subtle. "Mom, did you have a chance to swing by Best Buy? That graphics card I showed you?" he asked. "Not today, but soon," she responded. He nodded, then added, "Oh, Dad, Mom was at the mall all afternoon. Saw her car in the parking garage when I was getting lunch with friends." An alibi. My 17-year-old son was providing his mother with an alibi. Later, while Linda showered, I stood outside Jacob's room. He was gaming with friends, headset on, but I could hear him clearly. "Nah, can't tonight. Gotta keep Dad distracted. Moms. Got another appointment tomorrow?" "Yeah. The guy with the Porsche. She said if we're cool about it, spring break is gonna be lit. Cabo, maybe." My son. My boy who I'd taught to throw a baseball, who I'd helped with algebra until 2 a.m., who I'd thought respected me. He was negotiating vacation packages for his silence about his mother's affair. I checked Emily's Instagram that night, something I rarely did, respecting her privacy. Photos from the last month showed new clothes, expensive makeup, AirPods Pro. The comments from her friends. "Rich aunt? Visiting? Damn, girl, someone's spoiling you." Her responses were vague, playful, but I knew where the money came from now. The next day, I worked from home again. Told Linda I was still feeling off. She was extra attentive, made my favorite lunch. Guilt, maybe, or keeping her meal ticket happy while she planned her next hotel visit. After she left for errands, I went through her closet. New clothes with tags removed, but the brands were clear. Diane von Furstenberg, Theory, Vince. Thousands of dollars of clothes that didn't come from our joint account. That evening, I tested my theory. At dinner, I mentioned money being tight, suggested we might need to cut back on the kids' allowances. The panic was immediate and coordinated. "Dad, that's not fair," Emily protested. "I've been keeping my grades up." My hours at work got cut. Jacob added quickly. I need the allowance for gas. Linda touched my hand. Honey, let's not worry the kids. I'm sure we can figure something out. Maybe I could look for part-time work, she suggested. Part-time work. The woman who hadn't held a job in 18 years, who was boinking another man for designer clothes, was offering to work part-time. You're right, I agreed. We'll figure it out. The relief at the table was palpable. They went back to eating, chatting about normal things. But I saw it all differently now. Every interaction was a performance. Every family moment was built on the foundation of my ignorance and their greed. That night, I heard them talking. Linda's door was cracked, both kids inside. I stood in the dark hallway, listening to my family plan around me. He's getting suspicious, Linda said quietly. Michael thinks we should be more careful, she added. Just until graduation, Jacob replied. Then I'm gone anyway. It's only another year for me after that, Emily chimed in. Can't you keep him distracted that long? Your father's not stupid, Linda responded. Just trusting. But if he finds out, everything changes. No college funds, no car for you, Emily, no spring break trips, nothing. So we keep playing happy family, Jacob concluded. Got it. It's not playing, Linda said softly. I do love your father. Just differently now. Differently. 20 years, 2 kids, a life built together, and I'd been downgraded to differently. I went back to my office, added to my journal, not just dates and times now, but the bigger picture. My family had formed an alliance against me. They'd weaponized my love, monetized my trust, turned my stability into their personal ATM while Linda paid them off with another man's money. The thing about betrayal is that it's not the act itself that destroys you. It's the revelation that the people you'd die for wouldn't even tell you the truth for you. It's discovering that your love has a market value and someone else is willing to pay more. I opened my laptop and started researching, not lawyers. That would come later, maybe never. I researched disappearing, how to vanish, how to become someone else, how to stop being the fool in a family of con artists. Because if they could plan behind my back, coordinate their deceptions, treat me like a mark in a long con, then I could plan too. And unlike them, I only had to fool 3 people who already believed I was too boring, too trusting, too stupid to ever fight back. They were about to learn that the most dangerous man isn't the one who yells or threatens or demands answers. It's the one who says nothing while he plans his escape. 6 weeks. That's how long it takes to erase a life while still living it. Every morning I kissed Linda goodbye, told her I loved her. Every evening I ate dinner with my family, helped Emily with calculus, discussed college visits with Jacob. I attended his basketball games, cheered at Emily's track meets, took Linda to our favorite Italian place for date night. The perfect husband, the perfect father, the perfect fool, as far as they knew. But while I performed my role, I was systematically destroying everything we'd built together. The rental property in New Hampshire, inherited from my father, managed by a property company, Linda never asked about it, sold for $180,000 cash. The buyer was eager, the closing quick. I told the property manager to forward all correspondence to a P.O. box I'd opened 2 towns over. My personal savings account, the one Linda thought held maybe $10,000, actually held $40,000. Yearly bonuses she didn't know about, side consulting work paid to my LLC, tax refunds I'd never mentioned. I moved it all to a credit union in Montana, opened under my mother's maiden name, Mitchell. The 401k was harder. Early withdrawal meant a 40% hit between taxes and penalties. $400,000 became $240,000. I accepted it as the cost of freedom. Filed the paperwork myself, had the check sent to the P.O. box. Linda never looked at my retirement statements anyway. That was my job, the boring husband who handled boring financial things. Stock options from work, vested over 15 years, worth another $120,000. Exercised and sold over 3 weeks, small chunks to avoid attention. The money went to another account, this one in Wyoming. I was building a financial ghost, spreading myself across states where nobody knew Richard Dawson existed. The house was trickier. Joint ownership meant I couldn't sell without Linda knowing, but I could borrow against it. Home equity line of credit, $150,000 approved, based on my income alone. I drew it all, maximum withdrawal, deposited it into my ghost accounts. Linda would discover this eventually, but by then, eventually would be too late. The physical preparation was just as methodical. I bought camping gear, told Linda I was planning a guy's trip with coworkers. Clothing purchases went to the office, stored in a filing cabinet I'd emptied. Work clothes, boots, flannel shirts, nothing like the polos and khakis Richard Dawson wore. I was building a wardrobe for someone else. I found the job on a construction forum. Small company in Billings, Montana needed a project supervisor. Someone who understood engineering but wasn't afraid of physical work. The owner, Frank Morrison, was old school. Phone interview, references he barely checked. More interested in whether I could start soon than where I'd come from. "You running from something?" he asked bluntly. "Running to something," I replied. "Good enough for me. We pay cash first month while paperwork clears. That a problem?" he continued. "That's perfect," I answered. The house in Montana was a rental, month-to-month furnished, 1,200 square feet of forgettable comfort. I'd found it on Craigslist. Told the landlord I was going through a divorce, needed something quick and quiet. He didn't ask questions after I paid 3 months up front via money order. The hardest part was learning to be someone else. Not just the name, Robert Mitchell, my mother's maiden name for the paperwork, but the person. Richard Dawson was soft-spoken, analytical, careful. Robert Mitchell needed to be different. I spent lunch hours at construction sites near my office, listening to how the workers talked, studying their body language. Weekends, I took basic carpentry classes at Home Depot, told Linda it was for house projects. My hands developed calluses. My body, soft from decades of office work, slowly hardened from the preparation. I was building Robert Mitchell from the outside in. 5 weeks in, Linda almost caught me. Came home early from one of her shopping trips, probably Michael had to cancel, and found me organizing paperwork in my office. "What's all this?" she asked, looking at the scattered documents. "Year-end tax prep," I replied, shuffling. "Papers to hide the Montana rental agreement." "Getting a head start," she laughed. "In October? You're getting more boring in your old age, Richard," she teased. Boring! There it was again. The word she used to describe me to Michael in those texts. I smiled, kissed her forehead, told her she was probably right. She left me to my boring. Paperwork. Went to text on her phone in the bedroom. Face down on the nightstand when she was done, like always. The final week was surreal. Knowing it was the last time for everything gave ordinary moments weight they'd never carried before. The last time I'd mow this lawn. The last time I'd fix Emily's bike. The last time I'd watch TV with Jacob, pretending to care about whatever show he was into. I wrote 3 letters, sealed them in separate envelopes. One for Linda, one for Jacob, one for Emily. Simple, direct. I know about Michael. I know you. All new. I know about the money, the lies, the alibis. I'm not angry anymore. But I'm done. Don't look for me. You won't find me. The house has a lien against it now. My parting gift to help you start your new life. The car is paid off. The utilities are current through next month. After that, you're all adults. Even you, Emily. You chose to be when you chose money over truth. Live with your choices. I'm living with mine. The morning of my disappearance was ordinary. October 15th, unseasonably warm. Linda made French toast, my favorite. The kids actually came down for breakfast, both of them cheerful. Jacob talked about his basketball season starting soon. Emily mentioned a boy she liked. Linda touched my hand while pouring coffee, and for a moment, Just a moment. I remembered why I'd loved her. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, smiled slightly, put it face down. Michael, probably, confirming their afternoon plans. "Big project today," I told them. "Might be late." "Take your time," Linda replied. "I've got book club tonight anyway." Book club. That's what she called it. Now, I hug my kids goodbye. Jacob, 6'2" now, still let me pull him close. Emily kissed my cheek, told me she loved me. Maybe she did, in whatever way she understood love, as something transactional, conditional, sellable. I kissed Linda last, held it a second. Longer than usual. She noticed, smiled, made a joke about someone being frisky. I told her she was beautiful because she was. Beauty and betrayal aren't mutually exclusive. Sometimes they come in the same package, wrapped in 20 years of shared history. I drove to work, parked in my usual spot, cleaned out my desk during lunch, told my secretary I was taking personal items home to make room. Nobody questioned it. Why would they? Richard Dawson had worked there 18 years without a single unexplained absence. At 3 p.m., I sent an email to my boss. Family emergency, would need extended leave, would be in touch about timeline. Vague enough to buy time, specific enough to avoid immediate concern. I drove my car to the bus station, parked in long-term parking, left the keys in the glove compartment with the letters. Someone would find it eventually, after Linda reported. Me missing. The letters would explain everything and nothing. The bus to Chicago left at 4:15. I sat in the back, baseball cap low, just another tired commuter. At Chicago, I switched to the Montana line, paid cash, gave a fake name for the manifest. Watched Illinois become Iowa, became South Dakota, became my new life. My phone stayed on until Cleveland. I watched the family group chat continue normally. Emoji reactions, dinner plans, reminders about homework. At 7 p.m., Linda texted, "Running late from book club. Order pizza?" I turned the phone off, removed the SIM card, dropped both in separate trash cans at the rest stop. Richard Dawson's last digital breath exhaled into an Ohio garbage bin. By midnight, I was halfway across the country. By morning, Linda would wake to an empty bed and assume I'd gone to work early. By afternoon, she'd start to wonder. By evening, she'd call my office, learn about the family emergency email. She'd try my phone, find it dead, check my location, find it last pinged in Cleveland. By the time she found the car, found the letters, understood what had happened, I'd be Robert Mitchell sleeping in a furnished house in Billings, Montana, ready to start work on Monday, ready to build something with my hands instead of my heart. The bus rolled through the dark prairie, and I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not regret, not anger. Just the peculiar lightness of ceasing to exist in one life while speeding toward another. They'd prepared for me to find out, had contingency plans and cover stories, but they'd never prepared for me to simply vanish, to stop playing the game entirely, to choose nothing over lies, let them have each other, let Linda have Michael until he got bored. Let the kids learn what life costs when daddy's stability isn't there to subsidize their mother's adventures. Let them all discover that the boring, trusting fool they'd plotted around was the load-bearing wall in their house of cards. And let me disappear into the Montana morning, where nobody knew Richard Dawson had ever existed, and Robert Mitchell could build something true, even if he built it alone. 5 years. That's what it took for the past to find me. I'd become Robert Mitchell completely by then. My hands were permanently calloused, my body lean and strong from construction work. The Montana sun had weathered my face, carved lines that Richard Dawson's office life never would have created. I owned a small house now, bought it cash after 3 years of saving everything. Fixed it up myself, nights and weekends, until it was exactly what I wanted. Simple, solid, mine. The knock came on a Sunday morning in March. I was making coffee, planning to work on the deck I was adding out back. Through the front window, I saw her, Emily, 23 now, standing on my porch in a winter coat too thin for Montana. I considered not answering. Considered the back door of my truck disappearing again, but running twice felt like running forever, and I was tired of being chased by ghosts. I opened the door. "Dad," she said, her voice breaking on the word. She looked older, not just the 5 years older, but life older. The glossy teenager who'd traded my trust for shopping money had been replaced by someone who'd learned what things actually cost. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced by jeans that had seen better days, a sweater that had been washed too many times. "Emily," I replied. I didn't invite her in, not yet. I hired someone, a private investigator. "It took almost all my savings, but I found you," she explained. "Why?" I asked. She started crying then. Not the manipulative tears I remembered from when she'd wanted something, but the exhausted tears of someone who'd been holding them back too long. "Can I come in, please? I drove 18 hours straight. I need to tell you things," she pleaded. I stepped aside. She entered my house, Robert Mitchell's house, looking around at the sparse furniture, the neat simplicity, the absence of family photos. I made her coffee, black, because I didn't keep cream or sugar anymore. We sat at my kitchen table, the one I'd built myself, and she began to talk. "Mom celebrated when you left. Actually celebrated. Opened a bottle of wine she'd been saving. Said it was the best thing you could have done for us. Said Michael would take care of everything now, that we'd upgrade our lives," she revealed. I sipped my coffee, said nothing. Michael strung her along for 11 months. Kept promising he'd leave his wife, kept paying for things, keeping her hopeful. "She was so confident, Dad. Told everyone you'd abandoned us, that you were probably having some midlife crisis. Made herself the victim, got sympathy from all her friends," Emily continued. The coffee was bitter. I preferred it that way now. Then Michael's wife found out. Not about the affair. She'd known about that for years, apparently. She found out about the money. Michael had been embezzling from his company to pay for Mom, for us. His wife turned him in to save herself from prosecution, she explained. Emily pulled out her phone, showed me a news article. "Michael Turner, arrested for fraud, embezzlement, money laundering. $300,000 stolen over 2 years. The timeline matched perfectly with Linda's transformation. Mom had to sell everything he'd bought her. The jewelry, the clothes, the bags. It wasn't enough. The house. She couldn't afford it after you'd borrowed against it. The bank foreclosed after 8 months. She moved into a studio apartment in Bridgeport," Emily said quietly. I knew all this, actually. I'd kept tabs for the first 2 years, digital breadcrumbs that told me enough. But I let Emily talk. She needed to confess more than I needed to hear it. Jacob left for college and never came back. Changed his major to philosophy, of all things. Said he needed to figure out who he was when he wasn't being paid to be someone. He doesn't talk to any of us anymore. Blocked Mom and me on everything, she added. "And you?" I asked. I stayed, felt like I had to after what we did. Mom got a job at Stop and Shop cashier, minimum wage. She aged 10 years in 2, Dad. Started drinking. Not socially. Seriously drinking. I worked 2 jobs to help with rent. But it was never enough. She kept talking about how you'd ruined everything by leaving, how if you'd just stayed and accepted things, we'd all be fine, Emily replied. "And you believed that?" I questioned. For a while, it was easier than admitting. We'd destroyed our own family for money that wasn't even real. For hotel afternoons and designer bags and spring break trips that never happened, she answered honestly. She pulled out an envelope, thick with cash. $5,000. Everything I've saved. I know it doesn't even start to cover what we stole from you. Not money, but trust, love, faith, whatever you want to call it. But I needed to give you something. To show you I understand now what things actually cost, she said, pushing it toward me. I pushed the envelope back across the table. "I don't want your money, Emily," I stated firmly. "Then what? What can I do? How do I fix this?" she asked desperately. You don't. You can't unbetray someone. You can't ungrow the person you became when you chose stuff over truth. You live with it. You learn from it. Maybe you become better, but you don't fix it, I told her. She was crying again, harder now. The 23-year-old woman became the 16-year-old girl I'd loved, just for a moment. But moments don't erase years. I was a kid, Dad. She was our mother. She said it was okay, that you'd never find out, that we deserved nice things. I didn't think, she began. You did think. You all thought. You thought I was boring, stable, reliable Richard who'd never figure it out. You thought my love was guaranteed no matter what you did. You thought wrong, I interrupted. Do you hate us? She whispered. I considered the question. Really considered it. No. Hate takes energy I don't have for you anymore. I nothing you, Emily. You're strangers who look like people I used to love, I answered honestly. That broke her completely. She sobbed at my kitchen table while I drank my coffee and watched the Montana morning light move across the floor I'd laid myself. When she finally stopped, she asked the question I'd been waiting for. Mom's sick. Liver disease from the drinking. She needs help, Dad. Medical bills, treatment. She started. She needs Michael. Oh, wait, he's in prison. She needs her children. Oh, wait, one abandoned her and the other can barely afford gas to Montana. She needs the husband she betrayed. Oh, wait, he doesn't exist anymore. I cut her off. You're still my father, she protested. Richard Dawson was your father. Richard Dawson died 5 years ago in a bus station in Cleveland. I'm Robert Mitchell. I build houses and fix roofs and date a kindergarten teacher named Sarah who thinks I'm a widower because that's easier to explain than the truth. I corrected her. Emily pulled out a photo from her wallet. The last family photo we'd taken. All 4 of us at Jacob's high school graduation. We looked happy. We looked perfect. We looked like liars, which 3 of us were. Don't you miss us at all? She asked softly. I miss who I thought you were. But those people never existed. They were characters you played while spending Michael's embezzled money. I can't miss something that wasn't real, I replied. She left. The photo on my table stood to leave, defeated. At the door, she turned back. For what it's worth, the private investigator said you did it perfectly. The disappearance. Said most people leave trails, but you just stopped. Like you'd practiced. She said. I had good teachers. A family of con artists taught me how to be someone else, I responded. We weren't con artists, Dad. We were just, she began. Selfish. The word you're looking for is selfish. And that's worse than being con artists. Con artists at least admit what they are, I finished. She left then. Drove away in a beat-up Honda that had seen better days. Left the photo. On my table, left the money despite my refusal, left me with the confirmation that my revenge had worked exactly as intended. They'd lost everything, the house, the money, the stability, each other. But I hadn't won. There's no winning when your family chooses to betray you. There's just surviving it. There's just walking away and building something new and smaller and quieter and true. That night, I told Sarah about Emily's visit. Told her everything, actually. The affair, the kid's complicity, my disappearance, my real name. She listened without judgment, held my hand when I finished. Do you regret it? She asked. Leaving them? I regret that leaving was necessary. I regret that they made it necessary. But no, I don't regret choosing truth over comfortable lies, I answered. Even though it cost you everything? She pressed. It cost me nothing. They were already gone. I just stopped pretending they weren't, I replied. I burned the family photo that evening, watched it curl and blacken in the fire pit I'd built behind my house. Emily's money went to Sarah's classroom, new books and supplies for kids who'd never know where it came from. The past turned to ash. And anonymous kindness, which felt like the only clean thing to do with it. Sarah understood. She'd been married once, to a man who'd hit her twice. The second time, she'd walked out with nothing but her car keys and never looked back. We were both refugees from different wars, building quiet lives in a place where the mountains didn't care about our histories. 3 months after Emily's visit, I got a letter forwarded through my old company. Linda had died. Liver failure, no. Insurance, buried by the state. Emily included a newspaper clipping, a brief obituary that mentioned she was survived by 2 children. No mention of a husband. We'd both erased each other in the end. Jacob reached out once, through LinkedIn of all places. A brief message. I understand why you left. I'm trying to be better. Don't respond to this. I don't deserve it. Just wanted you to know. I didn't respond. He was right. He didn't deserve it. But I hoped he was trying. Hope costs nothing when you expect nothing back. Sarah and I got married the following spring. Small ceremony, just us and witnesses at the courthouse. She took my name, my real name, Sarah Dawson. Robert Mitchell died that day. His purpose served. Richard Dawson was reborn, but different, harder, clearer, free. We don't have kids. Neither of us wants to risk that kind of betrayal again. We have dogs instead, 2 mutts who love unconditionally and would never trade our trust for. Designer bones. We have work that matters. She shapes young minds. I build homes that will outlast me. We have honesty, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes I dream about the life that was. The house in Connecticut, the family dinners, the illusion of perfect suburban success. I wake from these dreams neither sad nor nostalgic, just aware. Aware that I'd been living someone else's idea of happiness, performing contentment while being slowly bled dry by the people who should have protected my heart the most. My hands are permanently rough now. My back aches when it rains. I drive a 10-year-old truck and live in a 2-bedroom house that would fit in my old garage. By every metric Richard Dawson would have used, I've fallen far. But I sleep without secrets. I love without fear of betrayal. I build things that are exactly what they appear to be. Solid, functional, true. There are no faces down phones in my house, no unexplained purchases, no children learning that love is negotiable if the price is right. The mountains outside Billings don't care that I used to be someone else. The sunrise doesn't judge the path that brought me here. Sarah doesn't need me to be anything other than what I am. A man who chose exile over exploitation, who learned that being alone isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. The worst thing is being surrounded by people who'd sell your love for things that shine. I chose freedom. It looks like loneliness to those who've never been truly abandoned. But to those of us who've been betrayed by our heart's closest allies, it looks like peace. It looks like home. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.